which will be presented by Professor Dr. Nishtha Jaswal ma'am, the Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Shimla. Ma'am has a teaching experience of 33 years and research experience of 35 years. Her field of specialization is constitutional law, administration law, human rights law, and environmental law. Ma'am has published 56 papers and 6 books, which has been cited by the Supreme Court of India time and again. Ma'am has been awarded with the British Academy Visiting Professorship. She has also received very recently the Academic Excellence Award 2019 by Amity University, Noida. Ma'am, we are honored to have you here today, and I would like to welcome you to enlighten the gathering on the topic Exercise on Framing Research Design for Ph.D. Thesis.
Thank you, Beta. As you have already noticed the title of the lecture, this is not lecture, this is exercise. Now, first question is, who is to do the exercise? The participants. And what about PhD thesis, research, whatever you do, right? So we just start with some basic aspects, not exactly research, about our thinking process, because through thinking process we move to the research. And in the thinking process, we need to distinguish, because see, when we talk about research, then we refer to critical thinking. Thinking we do the whole day, even while we are asleep, process goes on. And you must have noticed sometimes what happens, there is some problem, you go to sleep, and when you wake up in the morning, it is solved. But critical thinking. So what is the difference when we talk general thinking and when we talk about thinking or critical thinking in research? Thinking, what is involved? And I tell you, if you are talking to your friend, your family members, your colleagues, and if you are critical in your thinking, then the allegation will be you are becoming too judgmental. And you don't have anything else except to criticize, except to evaluate everything. Zindagi ki lo bhai. But you can't live like this when you are doing research, right? So, in normal thinking, we refer to common sense. Now, where lies the problem now? बता सकते हैं? But when we use common sense while doing research. Now, this is the first exercise. Just think in introspection. All of you must be doing research. Either you are pursuing PhD or you have completed your PhD, just now completed, or you have taken some project, you are writing some article. This is the first. Journey from thinking to critical thinking. Now, I am not going to tell anything. Today it is exercise. मेरे को भी दे दो कोई पेन, कोई कागज. कोई लेके आएगा. Yes. Think. In fact, I tell you, I'm not your teacher today, but as a teacher, this was my way of teaching. Those who had been my students know. I used to say, you may be 100% wrong, but please respond. Any example? Any example?
While even identification of the problem in the research, it is very important first of all to have a common understanding, and then finally we can go to the critical one. So the one thing which comes in our mind is that common sense to find out the issues also initially. So the starting of the common sense, like when you talk about any area, it starts from the beginning only. So within the research, the first step is the identification.
You want to say common sense is an integral part of research, right?
Initially,
just note it down. Just note it down, because we are going to evaluate that. Anybody else?
I'm from sociology background, so maybe my common sense and methodological studies. These are two different areas, two separate areas. Common sense are the random ideas or experiences, and methodical studies, what is research, what is part of the research. That is the understanding what we get the same experience but through some methods. Methods. What is the method and right? Positivism can be a method, functionalism can be a method, structuralism can be a method, symbolic interactionism, and so on. So when we are obtaining knowledge through those methods, they are the research, they are the part of the research. And when we are taking it from the experiences or generations or socialization, they can be the part of common sense. So this is the difference in so far I can see.
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
So common sense while thinking or while researching, in my opinion, is some.
You can also use the mic. Just turn it a bit towards yourself. Yeah.
So common sense, in my opinion or in my experience, is something which is very basic. Like whenever our teacher used to teach us, she used to be like, don't think right from here, start from here. So like something very basic you start with, and then you start exploring little by little everything, something you branch off.
Yes.
I would like to explain it through an example. I may be wrong, please correct me if I am. So let's say common understanding is knowing that, for instance, crimes against women in Delhi is increasing or in a it's high rate. Critical thinking maybe is why is it like this? Like why are the crimes against women are such such a high rate in Delhi, or how can we stop it?
Generalizing what she said, it can be iterated that common sense is when facts are made aware to you, and critical thinking is when you challenge those facts with hows and whys and whats, and you then, on a methodological basis, go on to find solutions to those questions. That's probably the differentiation between the two.
Common sense, according to me, ma'am, is how the knowledge is bequeathed to us generally. I mean, it is with our experience that we understand that this is the common thinking which everyone is thinking of, every rational mind is thinking of. For example, evaluating international law from an enforcement perspective. Like every law should be enforceable, therefore international law should also be enforceable. But since it is not enforceable, it is a weak law. So this is commonsensical understanding maybe of international law portrayed as a weak law. But getting into the details of the structure, as ma'am has also highlighted, getting into the structuralism part of it, or maybe delving into international law structures or principles or doctrines from critical legal perspective, is where we do that critical thinking. In fact, the choice of methodology itself is a part of critical thinking, I think. That's where we come up to a conclusion that international law is hegemonic, or international law is made in such a way to make it as an organizing principle uh, for power to perpetuate itself until eternity. And how do we challenge these notions and think about larger egalitarianism around international law is, I think, would be critical thinking in international law.
So, madam, for common sense, I think so that is, we may formulate certain opinions based on our common knowledge. That may be right or wrong. We are not aware of that. Through scientific study, so we may come to a conclusion. Sometimes that may be the knowledge we arrived at through common sense may be right. Sometimes it may be wrong. And that scientific inquiry is critical thinking and the result of the research. This is what I find.
Very, very good. In fact, here lies the problem. Because in common sense, we have inbuilt biases. Now, how inbuilt biases? I can give you one living example regarding the issue of honor killing, regarding the issue towards the women, why crime is committed against women. You know, if we do scientific study, we'll find out the factors. Which factors are responsible, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But what kind of presumption, all of you know, you must have read in the newspapers, and I think I can find the maximum number of emails, and you must be full of anger. What kind of nonsense they are talking about? This dress should not be worn by the females. Take mobiles away from the females. All these things. Now, if you are doing research and you say that this is the reason for crime against women, now this is not critical thinking. This is not scientific study. Critical thinking is an integral part of scientific research. And when you are just talking, now anywhere you are sitting, you are gossiping, then you may talk about all this nonsense, which we may call as common sense. That this is the reason, right? And then we say, like, if we talk about again the female rights, which starts from the birth, and still that notion is prevailing not in the urban areas mainly, but that we must have a son. If you have some sociological study you have to conduct, then you say this is the reason. Because then you don't have any moksha without son. And family is just incomplete without son. But I think if you do the empirical survey, then only fractions will be in favor of stating that family is incomplete without a daughter. And we tried for a daughter after 3 sons, 4 sons, 5 sons, but you find trying for son after 4, 5, 6 daughters. So if you go by that factor, common sense, can it be taken as a base, a foundation for conducting your research, for framing your objectives, for framing your hypothesis? Answer is right. Then we talk about that when we start doing anything except research, don't say preparation of your lecture, that is part of research. If you don't do research, that means you are not prepared. You need to do research for your teaching purpose also, for gaining knowledge also, for during education also. If you can recollect it, I'll just talk from the daily life examples. See, when you appear in any exam, what is the pattern of the question paper? There are some easy questions, some middle level questions, some questions which are very, very difficult. Because the question paper is to be set from the angle of every student. Average student can attempt and get through. A mediocre student will be a little higher in scoring, and then for those who have worked extra hard, they are not depending upon what was taught in the class, so that means they have done research. You start, in fact, such students are those who get so many books issued and find out what is different, what more I can add. Look, there are 5 models, but there is a latest model. You search on the internet, you have to refer to that. Even while doing your conceptual part of your research. So research at every stage you need to, and that has to be systematic. Now, can you give any example of unsystematic research? Because only then you can understand the value of research being systematic.
So, for example, during elections, some people may say, so our party will win, or maybe some political, some experts and they may say that this party may win, that party may win. That is not based on a scientific study. That is merely their opinion. But through those psephologists, when they conduct that proper study, research study, they may get a more or less accurate results.
This is true about exit polls also. When
Alright,
we are
exit,
predicting something, it's not just because I think I have a liking for party X or party Y. So because internally I want this party should win, then I think my view will be biased. So I have to try to take defenses in favor of the political party whom I want to favor. While when it is systematic, then we just fill up that place which is there for bias. Because it has to be systematic. Systematic, what is systematic? You will tell me. What is systematic? How will you make systematic? What is systematic?
Which is
No, these are very small things which we don't bother and we proceed. And then what happens? When you go to your supervisor, they just tear off the pages and throw in the dustbin.
When one thing is leading to another and everything is reasoned, you have answers of why you are choosing what you are choosing. That is systematic.
systematic is well planned thing.
Yes,
well structured,
yes,
backed by scientific method.
yes, yes,
Something which is done after critical thinking.
yes. So just let me know, is it so that one fine morning you wake up and straight go to the library, sit there, oh, I have started my research work. You think, okay, this topic is very good. Taking the book, reading the whole day, still not decided. Next day come, no. My friend is doing on this topic. Nowadays AI is so important. So I must do something on AI, and you sit again, read some book, back in the evening. Is it systematic? No. What is systematic? Say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll come to that. That means still, how many of you have already completed Ph.D? Very less number. That is why you are not able to. That is why you are not able to answer. I'll tell you in the end.
No, we can answer to be wrong, right?
Answer to
I
be?
have to be entirely wrong. I mean,
No issue.
I think
So
I
what?
have,
So
I have
what?
an answer, but it's entirely wrong.
So what? So
We
what?
started with that.
So what? I tell you one thing. In psychology, when we talk about the concept of memory, what we say? Where we commit a mistake, we never forget. Then you always remember what is system. What is systematic? You will not forget it.
Being systematic is a sort of convincing for an artificial creation, which we do in the research work, which may or may not align directly to your own conscience. But since you have landed at
First, no, you're very right. But tell others what is the meaning of condense. They'll understand. They'll understand. That is a systematic. First this step, then this step.
basically
10th class में सबने पढ़ा होगा कंडेंसेशन क्या होता है प्रैक्टिकल भी किया होगा am I right?
No, I got misheard. Conscience, but not directly relating to my conscience. I may not be directly sympathetic to that issue. It's just that that particular issue is in vogue. I pick up that, create a sort of a pseudo expertise or preliminary expertise around that area, and start working on that, and then creating a sort of a flow chart and a systematic whole, as madam has already talked about, that one is connected to other and other is connected to. So it's like an organism which I create in research, where everything is related to each other, but entirely that creation is not related to my conscience. It can happen.
In one sentence, you are trying to say coherence, symmetry of one idea with other idea is the first meaning of systematic thinking.
Yes, essentially what I want to say is, if we present something as systematic, or it look like to be a systematic study, may not always be true to the researcher.
See, I'll just pick up something out of it.
So, madam, I think it is a step-by-step process, starting from
Yes.
one end and reaching
Yes.
to the other end.
Yes.
In my opinion, basic research starts with an outline.
In the present scenario, yes, you can say you start offline, you may be online later on. And here, just picking up something, uh, when you're doing research, like you want to write some article, it's fine. Prick your conscience. The issue must prick your conscience. Now, here, few points of right. Number one, it should prick your conscience, and through your conscience, your mind, not your heart. I hope you understand. Otherwise, you know what is going to happen? If you are asked to do research on natural disaster in Himachal Pradesh, if it is pricking your heart, you know what will happen?
You will become biased.
Bias. You say, people of Himachal Pradesh must have committed some wrong, so we are in Devbhumi, so gods cursed us and we are suffering. Is it critical thinking? It is just common sense thinking. But if it will prick your mind, then you will go into the factors why it happened. Understand? And second thing, it is not always necessary that it should prick your conscience. Why it is not necessary? You can select the topic for your research paper, right? Even you have freedom to select the topic for your Ph.D. research. That too sometimes is not agreeable by your supervisors. No, because this is not the field of supervisors. Supervisors never like you to work on that. Right? Or even if you have thought of, and after that, when your topic will go to the research committee may not agree. And I can tell you, in fact, in our RAC, there was one student, might be still there, I don't know. Topic was relating to some light pollution. Must be here.
Yeah.
Must be cursing the members. Could not be proved. Because it might be pricking his conscience, his heart. But it did not prick his mind. Pricking of mind means you are very clear what you are going to do and whether the material is available, whether you will be able to come to some kind of conclusion. If you cannot, then so that is why I said it is not always. And another reason is, suppose you are working in some educational institution and educational institution receives a project from somewhere, and project is on a specific topic. You may or may not like it. You have to do research. So it is not essential. But what is essential is whatever you do, that must prick your mind. Right? And then we distinguish, because when we are talking, if I am talking to him, just chit chatting, I may say, you know, I have attended many number of conferences. They say wonderful, wonderful. But if I am doing research and I have to mention, suppose the research is on how many some topic related to that on a particular issue, how many conferences, seminars are there, then is it possible if I write in my conclusion that number of conferences were conducted on this topic? Is it? No. You have to be very, very precise. So here we make mistake. Most of the researchers, they make mistake. You know, they think it's very easy. Like English language we have where we say almost, about, and then so on or etc. And it's very, very easy to use these words, but this is not a good sign for research. It has to be precise. Precise, because especially when you are doing empirical study, you have to be very, very precise. Because when we talk about quantitative research, this precision is all the most important. When you are concentrating on numbers, crime rate in Shimla. You cannot say very often crime is committed in Shimla. No, you will tell this is the number, this is the percentage, and at the same time this was the position last year, what is the difference, how much increase, exact, precise, right? Then another word which is slightly different from precision, that is accuracy. It is accuracy. Okay, I give you the clue. Information has to be accurate. Examples?
It has to be reliable, like it must come from some official source like Census of India or Crime
Yes.
Record Bureau.
I think that's very good. Reliability emerges from this concept of accuracy.
Standardized. Standardized.
Yes, standardized. No, as per see, in when we do research in law, we frame our own questionnaires. No doubt we try some safeguards, getting it approved by the experts, using your Delphi technique that you pilot study. But in social sciences, there are scales already recognized. Those are standardized scales. You have to go by those, and information has to be collected according to those scales. The simpler version of this accuracy is again free from, what happens? You collect information. Information is accurate, You don't like. Suppose we say that maximum crime is committed by juveniles. But I have sympathy for juveniles. I don't want that such kind of, because juveniles, they are at the threshold going from childhood to youth. And in fact, from our inner conscious and internal feelings, we feel, no, how can, they are just bachas, how can they commit crime? So I may be biased, right? Or it may happen that something accidentally or in any way something happened to me some years back, and I'm doing research on the same, there's a bias in me. So I look at that from that. So even if I have data before me, still my interpretation will be biased and accuracy will not be good. So this has to be taken care of. This is the first thing. When we just start thinking, when we just think that we have to do research. Now, next, I want to prepare you, those who have already done PhD, they may or may not be aware of it. But most of the times I say, getting enrolled in PhD is just like marriage of a female and going to a new family and facing mother-in-law. लड़कों को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लड़कों को they have to substitute themselves in the place of a female, क्योंकि दामाद की तो सेवा ही होती है, बहू से एक्सपेक्टेशन होती है. So you will have a sass in your supervisor who will always find faults. I'm very clear on that point. And may not be intentional, maybe inadvertent. It so happens because you have done you forget 40 years ago I did my PhD. You think 40 years ago it's so easy to do PhD. What are these people doing? Or we studied this, we studied that, and we forget that now we are in internet age, in the AI age. It's easy for the children to find out the material. Now today you tell them, tomorrow they will be there with the material. Gone are the days when they had to go to different places, different libraries to search the material. So first thing, be prepared. Now this I am going to explain in the end. I am a poet, so I will be explaining in my poetry whatever I am saying. But then first step is to decide what. Is it a topic? Is it a topic? Sure? Are you sure? Everybody is sure that you have to think about topic?
No.
Yes.
Area.
First of all, area. Which area? Which precautions to be taken?
Adequate materials in the library.
In fact, try to prioritize your answer. But I would welcome different points because ultimately we can merge all the points together and come to some conclusion.
It should be a topic that interests you
Yes.
so that you can go on
A topic which is not
researching.
Yes.
Topic.
First thing is topic of your interest. ना अब मेरे को कोई कहे कि जाओ जी टेक्स्ट पे रिसर्च कर लो and run away and just run away. I can't do research in the area of tax. No, this should be of your interest. And then area should also be of common interest. Understand? Common interest, and especially not much work should have already been done in that area. Otherwise, of no use, nobody will bother. You meet somebody, I am doing research on this. Okay. Because now if today you say already we are doing research on say there used to be a lot of work on say right to education only. Now a lot of work has already been done. Unless and until some change is there. Unless and until you are going to do some empirical survey in a particular area, whether a right to education is being implemented or not, then it's something different. Even the conceptually may be the same, but ultimately you are doing the study which will have future consequences, like we had this national education policy. Next policy is to be right. And anything else? Relevancy. Yes, relevancy is relevancy to the place, to the time. That relevancy has to be taken care of. Now, today you say, okay, I decide to write on constitutional right to property, fundamental right to property. What a topic. And it will be appreciated by your supervisor. Great. You are very great. Say, Pita, 1978. This right was abolished. Where are you living? So this you have to take care. Right? And now we come to the topic. First thing is area. then comes the topic, and then will come the type. Topic, how to decide? Topic in fact means criminal law. How vast is criminal law? Constitutional, how vast it is. Or you want to work on some jurisprudential aspect, philosophical aspect, how vast it is. So you have to then further screen out. What precautions you must think? What you think, what precautions should be taken, let me know.
And there must be novelty in that.
Yes, novel, something novel. Very good.
There should be
Social sciences, we also take a time frame.
Yes.
There should
Very
be any loophole in that.
Yes.
It must be
Some gap,
Some gap.
some
or
research
we
gap,
can
some
work on
gap
that.
must be there. It's not that you very easy. Go to the libraries, copy, cut, paste, and produce.
It must be practical on that
Must be
topic to do research.
Very important. No, I can share with you. Once one of my students came and said, I want to work on red light areas. Will you be able to go there? Is it easy to go to red light areas and do research? You must see the feasibility of what you are talking about. Right?
Madam, let me ask a doubt. Let me ask a doubt. Suppose there is a popular opinion that the fundamental right to property has to be retrieved. And in that case, if any research, if there is any scope for
Yes,
it.
yes. See, you cannot say fundamental right to property. You can talk about right to property. Only right to
Right.
property.
Yes.
There, ultimately, your conclusion may be
Right.
when you're comparing the situation prior to 1978 and after 1978, then of course you can propose. Yes, we need to have. You can even say that those circumstances under which this was abolished, those do not exist now. So we again need to have this fundamental right. Right? Any other doubt? Please, I welcome that, I appreciate that. If some doubt is there, we must talk about it. And again, in fact, already in the inaugural session, Professor Jaswal also told you, this is the fact. If your topic is such where there will not be general interest, then you cannot grow in your career. You know what happens? Like one example he gave, you appear in the interview, the experts, they are not aware of it. They are not bothered. They are not going to open the mobile and internet at that time and see what should be in the topic, and then they ask, nobody is going to make efforts. And then your strengths will not help you, and attack will be on your weak points. Otherwise, the area where you have done your research, that is your strength because you know ins and outs. And I can share with you, when I gave my first interview for regular assistant professorship in Jammu, and one of the legal dons, he was in the interview, is no more now. I don't know whether you people might not have heard. There's a Reiki from this Aligarh Muslim University, he was there. And I was doing Ph.D. at that time. My fortune, he asked me a question on my Ph.D. work. And my interview continued for 58 minutes, assistant professor. जब 58 minutes हो गए बाहर मैं आई तब मुझे लगा कि अरे ना लंबा सो kept on asking, I kept on replying. He kept on asking, I kept on replying. And then ultimately started making suggestions to me, which was very relevant for me. Now suppose your topic is such, then what will happen? I know you're young assistant professors. Every semester you are given different papers. Next semester, next year it will not be repeated. And then what to do? You expert will say which paper you have taught. You may name the past one or present one. Present when you are half prepared. Because naturally you will be preparing 2-3 lectures at the most, and you are not clear. You can't say it is not in the syllabus of my curriculum. You can't say that. If you are mentioning the subject, you have to be prepared. So your research work is, which is your strength. right? And another very important thing is, if you are doing research in some prominent area, don't mind. Like some jurisprudential aspect is there, or constitutional law is there, then what happens that wherever you work, you are involved in different projects, different programs. Because these are the main pillars. It's not that commercial law is not important or criminal law, every law is important, but these are, see, jurisprudence is the base and constitutional law is the grand norm. And in criminal law also, it depends which area you have to cite. So that really helps. So all these factors you have to think when you are deciding the area, and then the theme or the topic out of that particular area. Right? Now then comes the title. Title में क्या होता है कि students, they have so much enthusiasm. I don't know. They perhaps start searching in the dictionary the most difficult English language words to be used in the title. Ornamental. 4 or 5 lines title. शुरू से पढ़ना शुरू करो जब तक लास्ट में आपको ये नहीं पता चलता कि क्या पढ़ लिया. So even in the committees you have to read it a number of times. सही है कि नहीं है title में. Right? Now, can you tell me what should be in the title? क्या होना चाहिए title में?
The core of your
Yes. The title must speak. Speaking title. Title must speak what you intend to do. Whichever variables you are using in your search work must be depicted in the title. Title is never in a question form. Recently I was in NAC inspection, so we have to check everything, their research. They brought 4 or 5 PhD theses. First PhD thesis title was inspection about. Oh no, never in question. No abbreviations to be used in the title. Now, आपका कसूर नहीं है बेटा. ये जो WhatsApp messages है ना, they have spoiled that view. So you use the same kind of language in your writing also, which should not be. Now the exercise regarding this, which is very, very important. All of you, I'll give very less time. Think of any title except your PhD thesis title. Think of any topic and frame title. 5 minutes. Time is not up, but if all of you have done, we can start.
Not yet.
We
Yes, ma'am.
one by one.
Use the mic.
Topic.
Transition readiness of girls in Yamuna Bank slum area from school to college.
Again.
Transition readiness of girls in Yamuna Bank slum area from school to college.
Open for discussion.
Transition read
You'll have to finish.
transition readiness of girls in Yamuna Bank slum area from school to college.
What is your subject?
Currently, I am working as a research officer
Basically, you are from law.
from law. From law.
Only.
Yeah.
We both did LLM from the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to comment on this title?
It appears to be a statement rather than like what exactly you wanted to do in your research has not been reflected. Whether you are going for a critical analysis
Yes.
or a study, is it a legal study or a socio-legal study? It has not been reflected. It is like a statement.
Yes. That's very important because it depends upon which kind of research you are going to do. Descriptive research, literary research, evaluative research, empirical research, so philosophical research, it depends upon ultimately what you want to use. A study, critical study, an analysis, a social legal study, but the social aspects are also involved and you want to do clinical research. And moreover, the title should be such which one reading must enter into your mind. Transitional readiness from school to college among जो भी आप कहना चाहते हैं colon
So something like transition readiness from school to college, colon, and a social legal study in Yamuna Bank area. Something like that.
now here still something which is very very important to be tested, that is you are from which subject? Sociology?
Law.
Law. Suppose she's talking about the topic. Whether you're from field of sociology, then our title will be different. From psychology, title will be different. And if you're from the field of law, without mentioning the legal aspect or issues, topic is in title is in.
So, yeah, I am following. Actually,
There is some legal issue involved, only then you can do research on this topic.
yeah.
A sociologist can do, psychologists can do, but then in sociology and psychology they'll mention those variables. Which variables? Some cognitive development issue, some adjustment issues. So that has to be mentioned. Clear? Yes.
Mine is intersections of caste and race, a critical study of migrant workers during COVID-19 pandemic. So this is not something for my PhD, it's for
That's fine. Repeat.
intersections of caste and race, colon, a critical study of migrant workers during COVID-19 pandemic.
You have corrected yourself. एक वो क्या होता है? Jigsaw puzzles.
Jigsaw
puzzles. Different pieces are there. We are putting them together. And wrongly, sometimes we want to say something, but we put them wrongly together. This is what has happened. 3 parts of your title, but 3 parts in different order.
Just a second. And In this paper, I'm focusing on uh, two factors, as in how caste-based violence and race-based violence have emerged during COVID-19. And so, what should be the title? If I have to highlight all those things properly.
See, in the caste and race, this part is problem.
The intersections of caste
Because
and
we are not
race.
clear. Critical analysis, of course, of migrant workers, but relating to what? It is not clear. Clear at all. Is any comments from anybody?
Caste and race are two very wide stratification areas.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I use the term intersection.
Migrant labor as well. You
Very
have to be
vast.
very specific about a particular zone. Then only you'll be able to. In general, across India, imagine the migrant labor and to get the details and data, almost like it.
Problematizing the concept of caste will get you in a
Yes.
lifelong talk. Like something project.
Self is a topic. We are talking about caste.
We should take particular.
If you have merely to refer to the some issue relating to migrant labor, you will cover. But mentioning in the title itself, then concentration breaks. Then caste also you have to talk about, race also, and it is not clear what you want to do in the title. If you frame it differently, issues relating to, you can say, social issues relating to migrant labor, a critical analysis. See, we have different opinions. We may, if you want to refer to reverse of study, this can be referred in the synopsis only, your thesis, not necessarily in the title. I hope you have followed.
Yeah.
Next.
Ma'am, rights of environmentally displaced person, a socio-legal study with special reference to state of Himachal Pradesh.
तो तुम्हारा टॉपिक है ना?
No, my topic is on sand mining.
ये किसी का था आज भी आजकल.
Ma'am, the another topic I framed, may I say? Disaster-induced internal displacements in India, laws, policies, and practices.
You are concluding, beta. We cannot conclude. In the title, we cannot come to the conclusion. Disaster resulted into displacement. No, we cannot do it. You can say impact of disaster in a study. There, of course, ultimately, what is the impact? That will be your right. Next.
So I find the topic legal study on gender bias law in context of equality for all.
Legal bias in
A legal study on gender bias law in context of equality for all.
जब bias की बात करोगे तो automatically equality for all, the objective approach. Objective approach is for bias. Can you reframe? Can anybody suggest anything?
And can we place equality to justice for all? Replace
Equality.
with justice for all.
Divide. Divide. Which kind of justice? Whether you are talking about which kind of justice, social justice, critical justice, economic justice, distributive justice, restorative justice, which kind of justice?
Legal justice.
लीगल नहीं है सारा, इलीगल नहीं है कुछ भी बेटा, सारे justice है. Justice is always legal. So So it has to be what I said, thinking precise, accurate. That's why I talk about systematic. Come on. Next.
The topic that I framed is sustainable development through the lens of gender equality, a legal study.
This is one of the SDGs. तो वही है थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने क्या बोला था don't try to make anything ornamental go straight here you need not to talk about see that means here you will have to discuss all SDGs what is sustainable development all SDGs then one portion on gender equality while I think what you intend to do is to work on gender equality right so your focus should be on gender equality this is sustainable development will automatically come in one of your chapters. Clear? Next.
My topic is laws relating to reproductive autonomy and their impact on sexual freedom of women in India, a comparative analysis with the USA.
These are two different things, beta. Reproductive autonomy and sexual freedom.
Ma'am, I'm trying to relate here the sexual governance by the country over women by legislating upon abortion laws in a manner.
You need not to talk about sexual autonomy. Reproductive autonomy you can talk about.
Okay.
It is covered. Then you can refer to all abortion laws issues relating to that.
Okay.
It's a reproductive autonomy.
So it could just be laws relating to reproductive autonomy in India, comparative analysis with the US, wherein I incorporate from the Roe versus Wade to the reversal and everything.
In fact, if you talk about reproductive rights, that is better because in rights, autonomy, identity,
Yes.
everything is covered. Next.
The nature and causes for and the rights of the begging children in Delhi NCR.
Right, sir?
Rights of
Begging.
the begging children in Delhi NCR.
Simple. It's a very, very good topic. Very good topic. You want to concentrate only on children and rights of begging children, or you can have a wider scope rights of beggars. Because still, this area is untouched. No doubt, all the rights which are available to any free men are available to beggars also, but some specific issues are there which pertain. So simply rights of beggars, critical study, or socio-legal study.
The topic will have to be reoriented.
See, when you are talking about the rights, and when you will be finding that most of the issues which are peculiar to the beggars, they are not being covered under law, right? And then you will be dealing with the nature also, cause also, right? And your study, because then it would not be merely a quantitative study, it will be a qualitative study. Because when you will be having case studies, interviewing some, then you will come to know the reason why they were pushed into begging. What are the factors which lead to begging of these children? You know, we find nature also we find. You know, few I think just 1 or 2 years back we used to find child beggars on the prominent places just begging. Now you find the difference. They are with some toy, some balloon, something that. Because I can share with you, I was a member of Chandigarh Child Right Commission and we found because when the spree for just getting these child beggars, putting them into protected homes, the gangs which are involved, they used to shift to other places. Because we can put them in trial that you cannot force anybody to beg. But then what they started, even after the new this Child Labor Act, that they are working for the family small. After the school hours, they are just selling balloons. They are selling tissue papers. Right? So we need not to mention nature cause because nature of begging when you are talking about child beggars, even if you simply say child beggars in Himachal Pradesh, that means you are going to discuss the nature. You are going to discuss the cause. You are going to suggest measures to control it. Right? Clear? Next.
So the topic I have framed is exigency of ex-ante approach in determining the abuse of dominance in digital market, a comparative study of European Union, United States and India.
बेटा पहले तो comparative study पे ही छोड़ देना चाहिए. I tell you the reason. Reason behind it. One is when you collect material, you start working, you find it difficult to compare whatever you mentioned in the title. By the time you write your synopsis, you have some clarity, so you can mention in your synopsis only. First of all, title is approved, then comes the state of synopsis. No doubt that can be changed, but it is always. This
Exigencies of ex-ante approach.
In determining the abuse of dominance in digital markets.
Abuse of competition law.
Related to competition. So a comparative study.
Why you talk about exigency?
Need. Need. Okay.
Just picked up. Okay. So why you are talking about this exigency?
Since recently European Union has enacted a Digital Markets Act, so after that a need has been arising in India also for the ex-ante approach in determining this.
Then there is always one dilemma of the researcher, and at the same time you will also find it difficult. This you are presuming the need. You are not sure because this will be after you do your research whether there is some need or some emergency or exigency. Now, before going through the complete literature, can you say? That is why I said in the title your conclusion should not be there. You do not come with the suggestions in the title. Don't come with the conclusion in the title. Right? You can talk about the abuse, issues relating to abuse of also comparative studies. That's all. How easy it is. ना इतना देर आपने सोचा कि मैं क्या वर्ड यूज करूं उससे पहले थोड़ा सा खूबसूरत लगे नहीं जरूरी है कोई जरूरी नहीं है बैंगल्स बनाओ इयररिंग्स बनाओ आप पहनो खुद ठीक है नेक्स्ट
Ma'am, my topic is privacy of children in the digital age.
प्राइवेसी
Children in the digital age.
आगे फिर अभी देखो इन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही थी यही छोड़ दिया क्या करना है उसके बाद स्टडी कंपैरेटिव स्टडी सोशल लीगल स्टडी क्रिटिकल स्टडी ठीक है नेक्स्ट
Intoxication, a defense or an excuse, a socio-legal study of India and South Korea.
Intoxication,
a defense or an excuse, a socio-legal study between India and South Korea.
Do you think this is sufficient for doing Ph.D. research? Just an article. Even this is not sufficient for even writing an answer.
I have a doubt. Why South Korea?
Because India and South Korea have two different kinds of approach towards drinking. Well, while in India it's considered to be as a vice and somebody's marriage prospect also may get.
Be specific about intoxication. What is the similarity or what is the contradiction between two countries? Just like that, like a fancy term, or because it is developed nations, we cannot always make a comparison with UK or USA. We think upon the topic, there should be some sort of relevance. So for example, if your thesis is on family law, you want to do, how will you compare? You will not compare with a country where there is no family law. Yes. So you should have that distinction. That just because maybe you may have some sort of comfort in collecting data from South Korea. It will not validate your data. So there should be some sort of reasoning behind it.
She's absolutely right, beta. You compare with that country where either the law is absolutely developed, they have precedents, then you can compare. Or situations are almost the same, but there's no law. Then you say there's no need of law because law cannot cure it. This is a social issue. Understand? Next.
Critical study on geopolitics of natural resources, fueling human rights violation in contemporary world.
पहले वाला तो ठीक है, कॉलम के बाद दोबारा बोलो बेटा.
Fueling human rights violation in contemporary world.
Fueling human rights
Violation in contemporary world.
At least I think 10, 12 people have already talked about. I kept on saying no ornamental language. Violation is violation. Right? Otherwise, good attempt, beta. No use of saying fueling human rights violations. That means you are alleging. And see, unless and until you have completed your research on that issue and you have considered both the sides on the balance, you cannot come to the conclusion that there was human rights violation.
I have a doubt in
Please.
that case. Like you said, we cannot just say that it's happening, but sometimes there are already articles or research paper or news which actually clarifies, signifies, or actually
Wonderful,
giving the
wonderful.
proofs that it's happening around the world.
Yes, yes.
But in that case, like giving an article or a small kind of research study, we can
See,
just
then if you are doing it on the basis of secondary sources only, then I'll say one thing, there is always a bias. Unless you see both the sides, you cannot come to a conclusion. That means you're just vetoing whatever others have done. Follow? But then also I have serious objection. Always, when any research scholar uses such words of fueling or such ornamental, simply say violation. Simply say human rights violation. In fact, human rights violation or fueling the violation, both are equally pricking. There's no difference. Violation is violation, right? Good attempt. Next.
Ma'am, my topic is a study of enforcement of law relating to the remedy of restitution of conjugal right in state of HP.
दोबारा बोलो बेटा.
A study of enforcement of law relating to remedy of restitution of conjugal right in state of HP.
Any comments?
Himachal.
Ma'am, a
A
study
study of enforcement
of
of legal remedy. A study of enforcement of
of
law
law
relating
relating to
legal-
remedy of restitution of conjugal right in state of HP. With particular, there is no
I think
particular
simple law relating to restitution of conjugal rights, study. Everything covered. Then, because when you will be discussing, yes, there's a law, but then implementation becomes very difficult. Right? Next.
My topic is examining gender dimensions of rehabilitation in Indian prisons.
Examining gender dimensions
of rehabilitation in Indian prisons.
Why don't you simply talk about issue relating to rehabilitation of women prisoners? Simple. This is what you want to say?
Yeah.
This is a play of words only. Next.
I have two, just in case I go wrong with one.
No issue, but no issue. Nobody is wrong. You're making efforts.
First
You
one
know,
is
look at your age and look at my age. So don't think.
first one is which I'm not very sure about is studying grassroots feminism in conflict-prone areas underpinning international human rights law.
थोड़ा सीधा सीधा बनाओ बेटा. You want,
Feminism in
you want to focus on feminism.
Yeah. In conflict-prone areas.
Feminism in conflict-prone areas.
Yes.
Should be something to do with the theories of feminism,
Yes.
not feminism as such.
No, it's going to be a empirical study. I mean, it is one of the studies.
Empirical study, but ultimately, what do you want to do? You want to frame another theory or model? Because yes, you can. It's not that you cannot. This is how the models are prepared after doing research. You just review the earlier research, rebut the earlier research, and you come to some other conclusion. Right?
May I say the next one? Do I have a permission?
You can simply say, I think, conflicting approaches towards feminism can be conflicting approaches towards feminism. Both in critical study or comparative study, the different approaches are there. Then you have to conclude.
We may be picking up one of the approach of
Feminist
feminism.
approach to
Yes,
conflict.
yes,
Trying to
yes.
talk about
Feminist approach to conflict studies, something like that.
I think
Conflict prone area is like, I think, in
Ma'am, what she's trying to
areas.
say, I think, a conflict prone area
Yes.
is a sensitive area like
Yes, I
Gaza
How
and Jammu and
feminists
Kashmir.
understand Jammu and
So,
Kashmir, you
yeah.
can
Okay.
study that with the feminist
Yeah,
lens.
it has to
I
be
didn't
a
mention the name of the
state-specific study.
place specifically only because, like how you commented on her topic. That when you're mentioning the name of the places, then you're restricting yourself to those places. What if tomorrow I'm not able to visit Gaza or
You
Kashmir?
can restrict beta, but I said don't put it in title. You will mention in your universe of study.
Yeah.
But I said not in title. It's better not in title. You can mention. You have to, of course. You can't do it in Bola Mandia or Bola of the world, right? Yes. This can be feminism in conflict-prone areas. Still, something is missing. Something is still missing.
Feminism has some approaches itself. So one of the
This is,
approaches,
I said,
Some theory.
one of the approach can be picked up to confine the topic.
or you can talk about latest, and ultimately you can conclude the modern feminism or
Like socialist
post-modern feminism. You can talk about. I don't know, something is missing. Even I have understood you want to refer only to conflict-prone areas where some kind of war is going on, some social issues, somewhere where terrorist attacks are there, something like that. I understand what you want to say, but title must speak it. Next.
My title is Analysis of the Animal Protection Laws in India, critical study with special reference to animal cruelty.
Simply say animal law in India, critical study. Analysis or critical study, दो words नहीं. Analysis भी कह रहे हैं, study भी कह रहे हैं. Next.
Ma'am, my topic would be individual liberty versus state security, a critical study of effectiveness of sedition laws in India.
Simply the study of constitutional law in
In
India.
India.
That's all. There, what you are going to have, power versus liberty. There, the issue is only power versus liberty.
State security versus liberty.
On
Because
power versus liberty, in power we talk about everything. My power is being exercised. Then the defense is for the security of the nation. This is being done. If liberty is being restrained, then because of one of the grounds is security of the nation. Next.
Title I have framed is Judicial Activism in Developing Environmental Jurisprudence in 21st Century in India.
Activism in developing environmental jurisprudence. Good topic. Good.
Title I have framed critically examine and analysis the study of drugs laws in H.
हाँ क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछना ना. Say, a critical analysis of drug laws in India. Efficacy of drug laws in India.
Need of digital forensics education amongst the police officers.
बेटा PhD का भी टॉपिक होगा ये. और ये जरूरत की बात करते हैं.
Another one is the role of corporate governance in increasing white collar crimes. Role of corporate governance.
Increasing
White collar crimes.
inclusion. What is your focus? On corporate governance or white collar crime? We are not sure unless until you do research. You are not sure that whether only corporate governance leads to commission of white collar crimes. No, we cannot say. And first, your focus. You want to work on corporate governance or you want to work on white collar crimes?
Role of corporate governance, how it affects the white collar crimes in a company.
बेटा वैसे तो अगर पता नहीं चलो I may not be right but ये कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में कम है और गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में ज्यादा है इशू व्हाइट कॉलर क्राइम्स का. You have to first focus. Anybody left?
My discipline is sociology and my area of specialization is in network society. So thus I'm framing a new topic here, systematizing digital surveillance in university campus, Poland, and visual ethnographic study on lived experience. Again I'm repeating, systematizing digital surveillance in university campus, Poland, and visual ethnographic study on lived experience.
Simply visual study. Further, there's no need. There's no need further.
Lived experience?
No need. No need. Next.
My domain is political science. I have selected 2-3 topics for my further paper, if you say that. Social movements and netizen in the digital age. A study on a study on the role of digital media or / social media.
बेटा पहले netizens को निकालो यहाँ से. अब बोलो.
Social movements in the digital age. A critical study on the role of social media or / we can say that digital media means the role of the social media in creating these kind of violence right now at present, which is happening right now because of the information.
I think it should be the other way. Role of social media in a social movement in a digital age. Study.
Okay.
Next.
My topic is critical study of politics of IRM and IRM vis-a-vis freedom of speech and expression of peoples.
बेटा सीधे सीधे वही है मैं तो डिफेक्शन की बात करना चाहते हो तो डिफेक्शन की बात करो ना, आयाराम गयाराम टाइटल पे नहीं लेके आओ, अंदर जो मर्जी लिखो किसी से लेके आओ। वही है कि बड़ा वो अंदर से तसल्ली सी मिलती है ये कहते हुए things which you don't like, so you, that is why a psychologist can tell us.
Actually, you are simplifying the topics here. It is very good to understand and learn things. But usually when we go and present our topics, they want a kind of titles which can somehow
Catch the attention of the audience.
When such theses come for evaluation, then we write in the report. ऐसे ना, don't mind my saying, because if we have such exercises now, tomorrow if you are preparing your candidate, you say first no catchy word, and when you are sitting in the committees there's a no catchy words, because there number of consequences.
When I chose my topic, it was political ideology and secularism, a study of a BJP with special reference to UP and Gujarat. And they took so many, very impressive things which can somehow impress the listeners that yes, this is a study which is very relevant. This thing is very clear and simple. The way you are doing it is really nice.
It should be just clear to you, clear to reader, clear to evaluator, and any third person who looks at that, it should be clear. पहले टाइटल ही नहीं समझ आता, ये नहीं समझ आता कि टाइटल कहाँ मैच कर रहा है जो अंदर लिखा हुआ है. So that is why it should be just simple and very fun. Next, beta.
I'm playing two topics, one on family law and the second one on international law. So the first topic is maintenance and welfare of senior citizens, a social legal study, reference to the Union Territory of Kenya.
Reference नहीं भी जिसको तो कोई नहीं, but it's a good topic, very good topic, very good.
In fact, ma'am, this was the first topic which I had proposed for my PhD 10 years ago. But somehow it could not be like my
At
background, it
that
could not be
time somebody else was doing work on that, and that was my student, beta.
Ma'am, the second topic of international law, that is impact of open skies agreements on international trade and analytical studies.
Very good, very good. Okay, रहेगा भी हो गए सभी. हाँ जी बेटा.
Standards of protection in international investment law and its impacts on the micro, small and medium enterprises in global south. Standards of protection in international investment law and its impacts on micro, small and medium enterprises in global south. A critical study.
Okay.
I framed the topic for research paper, a critical analysis of the Criminal Identification Act 2022 with reference to right to privacy. Critical analysis of the Criminal Identification Act 2022 with reference to right to privacy.
नहीं भी लिखो अगर with reference to right to privacy, so critical evaluation वही करनी है आपने. Okay, thank you. Which is inbuilt, don't write it. पक्का उसी पे है. Choose वही है.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. Next.
My extradition in national and international perspective. I studied with special reference to economic offenders, fugitive economic offenders Act 2018.
Let us simply talk about extradition. If you want to refer to which kind of offender, that you can refer in your synopsis. Scope of study. When you write scope of study. Next.
I have friends of topic. Constitutional position of governor in India and analytical study.
Constitution के अलावा भी कुछ चीज़ होती है. Position of governor under the Indian Constitution. A study.
Anji. My topic is role of classical music on test anxiety among adolescents, a therapeutic cadence.
Very good. psychology, they'll use the variables we want to. Yes.
And my topic is an analytical study of changing dimensions of insider trading regulations. A study.
Next.
Topic is rigors of informational radicalization and free speech in state of Punjab, a socio-legal study. Rigors of informational radicalization and free speech in state of Punjab, a socio-legal study.
My topic is in the area of human resource management, and in that I have chosen a study of impact of work-life balance on employees' productivity in Indian corporate sector.
The topic which I chose is the issues and challenges related to competition law study.
Now we have two options to share with you. This lecture was at 2 o'clock. I have another lecture that's online 4 o'clock, which I postponed for 15 minutes. So if we can meet at 8 in the morning, is it possible?
Tomorrow we have.
Already we have half an hour I can spend. Half an hour we can spend on this, which we are, because much more is left. Then the remaining I can discuss the other topic. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No issue.
No, ma'am.
Don't curse me.
Don't curse us.
Because everything got delayed since morning. Because morning we had two pre-PhD submissions, then there was human rights day celebration, then there was seminar, a library, then I came here, so yet another lecture is there online. Right? So we meet at 8 o'clock morning. Here only, and 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock. So God bless. See you in the morning. We'll continue. Yes.
You can text me.